My name is Maya Carter. I'm 16 years old, and on the afternoon of May 3rd, I died. It was just a normal Tuesday. I was a normal kid. I was worried about my chemistry final. I remember I was trying to figure out how to ask my dad for 20 bucks for a concert ticket. My biggest problem that day was that my favorite jeans were in the laundry. My life was small and safe and mine. I had a little brother, Leo, who drove me crazy, and a mom who made the best chocolate chip cookies. That's who I was. Just a girl in her room listening to music, thinking about Friday night. I'd just eaten a handful of trail mix my mom bought. I didn't know it had Brazil nuts in it. I'd never had a reaction to anything before. Ever. First, my throat felt itchy. Just a little tickle. I coughed. I remember thinking, that's weird. Then the itch turned into a burn. It felt like fire ants crawling down my throat. I tried to get a deep breath, but it was like trying to suck air through a tiny straw. Panic hit me. It was a cold, sharp feeling. I stumbled out of my desk chair, knocking it over. I tried to call for my mom, but only a squeak came out. My hands went to my neck. I could feel it swelling. My heart was a drum beating against my ribs so fast, so hard. I remember seeing my face in the mirror on my closet door. My lips were turning blue. My eyes were wide with a terror I'd never known. I saw the pictures of my friends taped around the mirror, all of us smiling, and all I could think was, I'm not going to see them again. My vision started to get fuzzy around the edges like an old television screen closing in. The last thing I heard was my phone buzzing on my desk, a text from my friend Katie, and then silence. My knees gave out, I hit the carpet, and everything went black. That should have been it, but it wasn't. I was floating. That's the only way I can describe it. 1 second there was pain and fear and darkness, the next there was peace. A complete total peace. I had no body, no weight, no pain. I was just me, my thoughts, my consciousness. I looked down and I saw myself. I saw my body lying on the floor, my brown hair splayed out on the beige carpet. My cell phone was still buzzing next to my head. It was so strange. It was like watching a movie. I felt a little sad for the girl on the floor. She looked so scared and so alone. But I wasn't her anymore. The fear was gone. The sounds of my house were muffled, distant. I could hear my mom downstairs humming while she put away groceries. I heard the sound of a car passing on our street. It was all so normal, but I was seeing it from somewhere else. I drifted through my bedroom ceiling like it was made of smoke. I saw the attic with its dusty boxes and old Christmas decorations. I floated higher through the roof of my house. I could see my whole neighborhood, Mrs. Henderson's prize-winning roses next door, the park where I learned to ride a bike. I saw everything at once, like my eyes could see in every direction. There was no fear, just a quiet curiosity. I felt myself being pulled gently upwards, away from my street, away from my town. The world below got smaller and smaller, a beautiful blue and white marble turning in a sea of blackness filled with more stars than I ever knew existed. And then I saw the light. It started as a pinprick, a single bright star, but it grew, expanding, filling everything. It wasn't a blinding light that hurt your eyes. It was a light that you felt. It was made of love. I know that sounds like a cliche, like something you'd read in a book, but there are no words for it in our language. Imagine every time you've ever felt loved. Your mom hugging you when you were sick. Your dad telling you he was proud of you. The warmth of your first crush holding your hand. Your dog licking your face when you came home. Imagine taking all of that love, all of that pure, perfect goodness, and multiplying it by 1 billion that was this light. It was a person. It was a place. It was everything. I wasn't scared anymore. I was home. I felt more at home than I ever had in my entire life. As I got closer, the light wasn't just something I was seeing, it was something I was becoming a part of. It wasn't a spotlight on a figure. The figure was the light. It was like the light had a heartbeat, a presence, and it was focused entirely on me. I tried to make sense of who I was seeing, but my brain couldn't quite put a label on it. The being in front of me was everything. He felt like the warm, comforting presence of a father, the fun, understanding spirit of a best friend, and the deep, ancient wisdom of a star, all at once. If you could turn the feeling of your favorite song into a person, that's what he was like. He just felt like home. And his eyes, I can't describe a color because they weren't a color. Looking into his eyes was an experience. I saw my whole life, but not like a movie. It was like I was feeling it all again in a single second. I felt the scrape on my knee when I was 5 and fell off my bike. I felt the gut-wrenching embarrassment when I called my teacher mom in 3rd grade. I felt the moment I told my best friend Katie a secret I promised to keep, and the guilt that followed. I saw every dumb, selfish, and scared thing I'd ever done. I braced for that feeling of judgment, the shame I always felt when I knew I'd messed up, but it never came. Instead, a wave of pure understanding washed over me. It wasn't forgiveness, because that implies something was held against me in the first place. This was different. It was a feeling that said, I was there with you, I saw it, and I loved you anyway. I loved you then, I love you now. The shame didn't just disappear, it was healed. It was like the love was a light that just made the shadows impossible. My whole life, I'd been so worried about what people thought of me, if I was pretty enough, smart enough, funny enough, in his presence. All of that just fell away. It felt so stupid. He saw me, the real me, underneath all the layers of trying so hard, and he thought I was enough. I finally felt like I was enough. I didn't hear a voice with my ears, but I heard him in my mind. The communication was like a download of pure information and feeling faster than words. The first thing he said to me wasn't some grand pronouncement. It was a thought laced with a gentle, loving humor that made me feel like I could finally breathe. That chemistry test doesn't seem so important now, does it, Maya? Tears of relief, of a joy I didn't know could exist, streamed from my eyes. I didn't have to explain myself. I didn't have to introduce myself. He just knew me. He knew my silly, little big worries. My own thought back to him was messy, not even a full sentence, just a jumble of, what is this? Where am I? Who? He answered not with a lecture, but with a feeling. He made me feel the difference between my body on the floor back in my room, the panic, the pain, the biological machine that had shut down, and the me that was here now, the part of me that loved my brother, that felt wonder looking at the stars, that got choked up at sad movies. And his thought came back, clear and true. That body was a car you were driving, little one. It ran out of gas. But you were never the car, you were the driver. The realization hit me. It wasn't a scary thought anymore. It was just a fact. The part of me that could get sick, or scared, or die, that part was gone. What was left was just to me. The real me. He smiled, and the universe seemed to smile with him. The light pulsed with a new warmth. Here, you are more alive than you've ever been. He held out a hand, and I moved toward him without thinking. Being near him was like standing in the sun after a long, cold winter. Everything was okay. For the first time in my life, I felt like everything was truly, deeply okay. But then he looked at me with such a deep sadness in his eyes. it wasn't a sadness for me, it was a sadness for the world I'd just left. "There are things you need to see, little one," he said, his voice gentle but serious. "There is a sickness in your world, a deep shadow that many mistake for light. They chase it, they worship it, and they do not understand the price." I didn't understand. "What shadow?" He didn't answer with words. Instead, the light around us shifted. It was like he opened a window in reality. I was no longer just standing with him. I was seeing something else. At first, I saw stages. Bright lights, screaming crowds, music so loud you could feel it in your bones. I saw people I recognized. Famous singers, actors from movies I loved, people with millions of followers online. On the outside, they looked perfect. They were beautiful, rich, adored by everyone. This was the dream, right? This was what everyone wanted. But Jesus let me see behind the curtain. He let me feel what they felt, and there was nothing there. Behind the perfect smiles, there was a hollowness, a cold, empty space. I could feel their desperate loneliness, their constant fear that the applause would stop. They were like beautiful, shiny apples that were completely rotten on the inside. They were given great gifts, Jesus' voice echoed in my soul. Voices to sing, stories to tell, hearts to inspire, but they were told it wasn't enough. The world told them they needed more fame, more money, more power. Then the vision shifted. It got darker. I saw a room. It was ornate and fancy, with gold trim and velvet chairs, but the air was thick and heavy. It felt evil. There were men in expensive suits. They weren't yelling or being obviously scary, but their smiles didn't reach their eyes. They had the same hollowness I'd felt from the celebrities, but theirs was hungry. It was a darkness that wanted to consume things. And I saw a young singer. I knew her. She was on the radio all the time. In the vision, she was younger, just starting out. She was full of light and hope, just like I had been. She was sitting at a long, polished table. A man pushed a piece of paper in front of her, a contract. Jesus, let me see the spiritual reality of that contract. It wasn't just paper and ink. As her hand trembled and she signed her name, I saw a wisp of light leave her body. It was faint like a bit of steam, but it was part of her soul, her essence. And as it left her, a tiny, dark thread attached itself to her heart, connecting her to the men at the table. "They call them contracts," Jesus said, his voice filled with sorrow. "But they are pacts. They promise them the world in exchange for a piece of their soul. They trade their divine light for spotlights. They agree to carry a message that is not their own. They become puppets, and the darkness pulls the strings." I saw flashes of what this meant. I saw singers whose music used to be about love and hope start writing lyrics that were all about emptiness, pain, and glorifying things that were harmful. I saw actors taking on roles that celebrated cruelty and darkness, and that darkness would cling to them long after the movie was done. I saw influencers who were paid to make their young followers feel insecure and inadequate, pushing products and lifestyles that created anxiety and depression. They were spreading the hollowness that was inside of them. They were carriers of the sickness. Why would they do it? I asked, my heart breaking for them. Why would anyone make that trade? Because they are lost, Jesus answered. They are told this is the only path to success. They are afraid of being forgotten. They are deceived into believing that the love of millions of strangers can fill the emptiness that only God's love can fill. It is a lie. It is the oldest lie of the enemy, that you can be your own God. The scene changed again, and this time it was the one that shook me to my core. It's the hardest one to talk about. He showed me an island. It was beautiful on the outside. Blue water, white sand, palm trees. It looked like paradise. But spiritually, it was a pit. It was a place of absolute darkness, a wound on the face of the earth. The air itself felt like it was screaming. I saw powerful people there, not just celebrities, but politicians, businessmen, people whose names are in the history books. They came on private jets and yachts, and they participated in horrors. Jesus shielded me from the worst of it, but he let me feel the truth of that place. He let me feel the terror of the victims. He showed me that this island and places like it were a central part of these pacts. It wasn't just about signing a paper. For the highest levels of fame and power, a sacrifice was required. The enemy does not create, Jesus explained, his voice like a shield around me. He can only corrupt. He takes what is most holy and pureth the innocence of a child and he desecrates it. This is the ultimate sacrifice in his kingdom. The powerful believe that by consuming innocence they absorb power. It is a spiritual vampirism. I saw how these famous people, these powerful leaders, would be brought to this island, and to seal their pact, to be given the next level of worldly power or influence, they were forced to participate in, or at the very least turn a blind eye to the most terrible acts against the innocent. It was a chain. The darkness at the top demanded this price, and those who wanted to climb the ladder paid it. I recognized some of the faces, people I'd seen on the news, people connected to that man, the one with the island, Epstein. It wasn't just a story on the news to me anymore. I saw the spiritual reality behind it. It was a marketplace, a place where souls were sold, and innocence was the currency. Every person who participated, every celebrity who looked the other way to protect their career, got another dark thread attached to them. They were bound to this evil. This is why their art becomes so dark, Jesus continued. This is why your world feels so hopeless sometimes. The people you are told to look up to are spreading a spiritual poison. They sing songs of it. They make movies of it. They normalize it. They are paid to make the darkness look attractive. They are servants of the lie, whether they know it or not. I was weeping now, not just for me, but for them, for the world. I saw how this poison trickled down. A kid sees their favorite singer glamorizing self-destruction and they think it's cool. A family watches a movie that makes evil look powerful and good look weak, and it plants a seed of doubt in their hearts. It was a war, a spiritual war, and the battleground was our culture, our music, our screens. Can they be saved? I asked him, my voice a whisper. The ones who made the pacts? A wave of infinite compassion flowed from him. It was breathtaking. No one is beyond redemption if they choose it, he said. The path back is through repentance. They must be willing to lose everything the world has given them, the fame, the money, the power. They must expose the darkness they served. It is a hard path, and very few choose it. It is easier to stay in the dark than to walk into the light and have all your secrets revealed, but the path is always there. My love is always waiting for them. He then showed me one last thing. He showed me my little brother Leo. He was watching a video on his tablet. It was one of those influencers, a guy who was famous for being rich and arrogant. And I saw a tiny gray wisp of energy from the video attached to Leo. It was a seed of discontent, of wanting more, of feeling like his life wasn't good enough. It was so subtle, but it was there. And I understood. This was why I was being shown this. It wasn't just about celebrities. It was about us, the ones who watch, the ones who listen. I looked at Jesus, my heart full of this new, heavy understanding. What do we do? Guard your heart, he said, his voice ringing with truth. Be careful what you let into your eyes and your ears. Do not worship idols of flesh and blood. Their lives are not the dream you think they are. The dream is here, with me. The peace you feel now, this is real. What they have is a shadow. Pray for them. Pray for the ones who are lost in the dark. And pray for the innocent. Your prayers are powerful. They push back the darkness in ways you cannot see. He looked at me then, his eyes holding both the sorrow of the world and the hope of eternity. Your time here is not yet done, Maya. The words hit me like a physical blow. No, I didn't want to go back. Please, I begged him, please don't make me go back. I want to stay here with you. The thought of returning to the world of pain and fear and chemistry tests was unbearable. The world I'd just seen, with its dark secrets and its spiritual sickness, I didn't want to be a part of it. I wanted to stay, in this light, in this love, forever. He put a hand on my shoulder, and the warmth of it was solid and real. It was the most comforting feeling I have ever known. Little one, your family needs you, he said so gently. Your brother needs you. I have shown you these things not to frighten you, but to arm you. You have a purpose. You are to be a light. You will not remember all the details perfectly, but you will remember the feeling. You will remember the truth. You must tell them that the love of the world is a trap, but my love is freedom. He looked deep into my eyes. It will be hard. Many will not believe you. They will mock you, but you will not be alone. I will be with you, every step. I was crying, torn between the bliss of staying and the love I felt for my family. I thought of my mom's face. I thought of my dad's laugh. I remembered the smell of the rain on the pavement in front of our house. I thought of Leo and the dark wisp I'd seen attached to him. I knew Jesus was right. I had to go back. Okay, I whispered. My heart ached with a sadness so deep it felt like a part of me was being torn away. Okay. He smiled at me one last time, that smile that held the universe. Go in peace, Maya, and tell them I love them. And then the light began to fade. The feeling of his presence started to recede. I felt myself falling, tumbling back down through the sea of stars, back towards the beautiful blue marble. The peace was replaced by a cold, heavy weight. The next thing I knew, there was a violent jolt. A massive electric shock coursed through my body. It was pure agony. I gasped, a huge, ragged breath that burned my raw throat. My eyes flew open. Everything was blurry and white. The light was harsh and artificial. There were beeping sounds, steady and annoying. I felt a tube down my throat. My chest ached like someone had kicked me. We've got a pulse. We have a rhythm, a voice shouted. I tried to move, but I was so weak. I could see figures in blue scrubs moving around me. A woman's face came into view above me. She had kind eyes, but they were wide with shock. A paramedic. Sweetheart, can you hear me? You're okay. You're in an ambulance. You had a severe allergic reaction. I was confused. Ambulance? I was with him. The contrast was so jarring, so painful. The perfect peace was gone, replaced by the chaos and pain of earth. I started to cry, silent tears rolling down my temples into my hair. They rushed me to the hospital. More doctors, more nurses, more questions I couldn't answer. My parents were there, their faces streaked with tears, a mixture of terror and relief. My mom held my hand so tight, like she was afraid I would float away again. Later, after they'd stabilized me and moved me to a room, a doctor came in. He had gray hair and a serious face. He looked at his chart, then at me. Maya, he said, his voice quiet, you're a very, very lucky young woman. Your mother found you just in time. She started CPR, but you were gone. By the time the paramedics arrived, you had been in full cardiac arrest for at least 9 minutes. Clinically, you were dead. We frankly didn't expect to get you back, and certainly not without severe brain damage. He shook his head, looking at me like I was a puzzle he couldn't solve. I've been a doctor for 30 years. I don't have a medical explanation for this. For you to be awake and lucid, it's a miracle. I just looked at him, a miracle. He had no idea. I know what I saw. It wasn't a dream from a lack of oxygen. It was more real than this chair I'm sitting in. It changed everything for me. I don't care about the same things anymore. The latest trends, the gossip, who's famous this week, it all feels so empty. It's just noise designed to distract us from what's real. I'm telling you this because he asked me to. The world they sell you on your screens, the world of fame and riches and perfection, it's a lie. It's a beautifully wrapped box with poison inside. The people you look up to are often in a prison you can't see. They are broken, and they are being used to break you, to make you feel empty, so you'll buy what they're selling. So I'm asking you to do what he asked me to do. Guard your heart. Pay attention to what you watch and what you listen to. Ask yourself, does this make me feel more loving, more hopeful, more at peace? Or does it make me feel anxious, envious, and empty? The light is real. The love is real. And it's not out there in some mansion in Hollywood. It's inside you. It's waiting for you to turn away from the shadows and just listen. If you're wondering if anyone sees your secret pain, your hidden struggles, he does. I saw it with my own eyes, and he loves you more than you can possibly imagine. Don't trade your soul for the world. It's not worth it. I've been to the other side. I know